Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm Mark Crosby. We are in Ward 2. I mean, physically, we are in Ward 2. This is Faxon Park. We're going to get into why we're at Faxon Park in just a bit, but let me introduce my guest. That would be the counselor from Ward 2, Richard Ash. Richard, welcome to the outside studio.
The outside studio at Faxon Park. Yes, thank you. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. Great to see you.
Happy to be here at Faxon and dive into my summer newsletter and then all the improvements up here.
And we will talk about the improvements at Faxon in a little bit, even to where we're seated. But before we get there, let's talk about some project updates. And we'll start with the Fore River Clubhouse, and then we'll move on to Mount Street Beach. Fore River, folks would know the clubhouse has been undergoing repair.
Yes, for quite some time. And I'm happy to report that in July, the roof replacement project was completed. And now the Public Buildings Department under Commissioner Hines, Joe Shea is the engineer. They've moved on to the inside of the building, and that is ongoing as we speak. I know the summer months, it can become a bit challenging because some of the Quincy Rec, they do still have programming in there. In the fireplace room, as we know it, when you walk in the clubhouse, there's still some programming to the right. The majority of the work being done is to the larger room to the left, but I know with the programming, they try not to have too much heavy machinery and too much construction going on, obviously with kids in and out.
Mount Street Beach, the addition...
Just down the hill.
Right, the addition of a ramp for folks so that everyone can utilize the beach and enjoy the view.
Right, that's my hope. For as long as I can remember, really, I've seen seniors enjoying that beach. And now it almost, I shouldn't say exclusively, but sure, there are families down there, but a lot of times those families bring either their senior family members, or there are folks that I notice down there on walkers and wheelchairs, and it might not be the easiest for them to get through the sand. So I met with Commissioner Dave Murphy earlier this year, and somebody had brought up those thick blue mats that they have on the beaches and on vacation spots so that seniors can get to the water. And I did a little research, and the commissioner thought it was a great idea. He actually let me know that there were funds left over from the Beaches and Coastal Commission, which was headed up actually by former Ward 1 Councilor Leo Kelly. My grandmother, Chicky Abdella, was on the commission as well. So that's very nice to tie that in. And he said, hey, the Beaches Commission has some money left over. Let me see if Margaret Milne, who's, of course, former Councilor Leo Kelly's widow, and let me see if Margaret would like to contribute to that, because where the funds landed, Margaret was elated to do that and to help out, and had thought of it actually, she said, some years prior as well, and thought it was a great idea. So the stars seem to align. There is now a 5x50 ADA, they call it a Moby mat, at Mount Street Beach. It's to the right of the new pavilion if you're looking at the water. And from what I've heard and seen, folks are really enjoying it, and I know I've got a few emails and messages that it's welcomed, and so that'll be great. Hopefully it'll be out there from the spring to the fall. It will come in during the winter. It's put down, the Parks Department and DPW did a great job of laying it down. There are very long stakes that go into the sand, so it will not be removed, say, for a day or a week. It will stay down and be removed semi-annually.
Let's talk about the Joy Hanlon and Malcolm McNeil soccer lot.
Yes, so these are for those that don't know, by the name, the Joy Hanlon and Malcolm McNeil lots are at the end of Cleverly Court, on the corner of East Howard. Those lots, folks may remember, the city purchased the car wash on South Street last year. that was raised for parking for those soccer lots. There will be some more programming coming to both, coming to that area, whether it be those specific lots or the former MWRA lot across the street. The MWRA lot was given to the city after almost at the same time as the purchase of the car wash. So now you've got 3 adjacent lots, of course, with Cleverly Court in between. Had some great conversations with the Department of Natural Resources and some other folks in the city about programming and more to come over there. So it'll be good because there are a lot of families in that area, and the closest park really is Clifford Marshall, which isn't too far, but it'll be nice to have something within walking distance for the folks. And there are a lot of traffic for the soccer games. I'm told that there can be 4 to 6 at a time on those fields. So bringing some more maybe playground equipment, some more courts, different athletics into that area will be nice.
Franklin Street pole replacement.
Yes, all of the poles from, excuse me, from Braintree to the Adams houses on Independence Ave were replaced, and now this is, of course, is in conjunction with the MBTA and the bus station over there, and now the work will continue up Franklin Street. I also will say, which was not in my newsletter, but is a timely question, the gas main line on Franklin Street up the hill is going to be replaced as well, starting the middle of September. It could take a couple of months, but folks in that area will notice the gas main from National Grid being replaced too.
Is the pole replacement, does that have to do with the lines for the electric buses?
Yes. Yeah.
Which seem to be, if anyone has seen them, they were up there quite high.
Yeah, and it's folks have the things that you notice when you're in either this position or in your role, because the city, you get questions, because the tree is growing into the line, right? And then so maybe the power lines or the vehicle lines or whatever they are, maybe they're put up higher because we do have all of these beautiful trees that seem to grow up and out and wherever they want, which is it's a good problem to have. But I don't know if that was maybe because of the trees or what, but all of that seems to be being worked out.
And before we leave this area, you had mentioned Independence Ave and the development that I believe is 10 Independence Ave. Could you talk about that? And the building is down that was there.
Yes.
So where do we stand in the process?
10 Independence Ave is a project that came to me in the beginning of 2024. We spent the better part of the year, if not longer, really having good community meetings with a lot of traffic and good ideas and folks that wanted to make this project better. What started as a 10-unit, 4-story building ended shorter in height and smaller in building density with 9 units, and the facade was redesigned with some community input. The folks will notice now that the work is going to be done on the actual building. Folks will notice that the sidewalk will be extended. I believe it's 22 feet out into the intersection, with some green space being added there, which shortens both the walk for folks across the street and across the light. Also, the building will present as being a little more setback. Not naive to the fact that folks, still may believe that the building is big for the footprint that it's on, but I think we were able to make some good headway and some concessions in that project. So folks will notice that the the auto body shop has been raised, and the remediation work is now ongoing for any oils or conservation issues, and the construction should start, I would assume, in the next month or so.
You had mentioned just briefly Clifford Marshall. I want to go back there and this time visit the aviation playground.
There are a few new larger pieces that will comprise of the Mike Marshall Jr. Aviation Playground at Clifford Marshall. Of course, Clifford Marshall being the late former sheriff of Norfolk County, who the elementary school was opened and named after in 1998 or 1999. Sheriff Marshall's grandson, Mike Marshall Jr., unfortunately passed away in an aviation accident a couple of years ago. So as awful and horrific and as that accident was for the family, I say how beautiful it is to be able to memorialize him at a grounds in a field and in a building already dedicated to his family. So there's an addition for the aviation playground. The larger pieces of it were finished on Tuesday. Kids loved it last night when I was there. There are some more benches going in, some trees. The fence needs to be finished. Well, also the swing set, the old swing set did not survive the move as we thought it would. So swing set will be replaced in the next couple of months as well.
A fitting tribute.
Yes, I really believe so.
Let's talk about the Heritage Tree Program.
Yeah, so the Heritage Tree Program is a citywide initiative in the Department of Natural Resources homage in one of the things, of course, of many to celebrate Quincy 400. The Heritage Tree Program, folks will notice, I know there's trees, one going in at the old Hertz site, on Southern Artery and Furnace Brook, I believe. And really in Quincy Point, there'll be one coming in on Cleverly. There's also one that was planted next to the Fort River Clubhouse. And I'm told that that tree will be moved because it wasn't properly placed. So some folks were confused about the placement of it, and that will be moved. So, but all in all, I think a great initiative to again pay tribute to some history and different folks that had to do with that in the Heritage Tree Program.
Let's talk about some traffic, parking, and alarm.
Absolutely. So Southern Artery is being repaved this year. A portion of that is from a federal grant, which will actually redesign Southern Artery from C Street to Pond Street. Of course, residents in the area notice Pond Street, Stewart Street, and Edison Street were just repaved. And so now that will come down to the end of Mill Street, where CVS is. So if you're going backwards from Southern Artery and Mill to Southern Artery and C, Mill being Mill/Pond, they come out at the same intersection. That will be redesigned pursuant to a federal grant. Also, Southern Artery is being repaved. The traffic department's big ticket, I guess that's kind of a pun. The traffic department's big ticket items for Ward 2 for the year are both 3A and 3A and Washington Street, that intersection, going down to Walmart and that stretch of Quincy Ave, redesigning and putting in a newer crosswalk by Clifford Marshall as well. And it seems like a lot of these projects are coming together at the same time. So which will be nice to have National Grid do their work. The federal grant come in and redesign and try to mitigate and work on the traffic on Southern Artery.
And part of this, of course, part of the department involves lighting, the TPAL department. So it's traffic, parking, alarm, and lighting.
Yes.
Now, these lights, are they timed according to, in some of these locations, according to vehicle traffic?
Yes. The traffic department actually, they have the technology to see all of the lights at the same time and make sure that they're all being timed correctly. And I know even where we are right now to switch neighborhoods, but even here at Faxon, I know the speeding on Faxon Park Road is an issue. We did a traffic study recently, and although the traffic study is, say, done over a few days, right? So it doesn't capture the outliers and the offenders per se of the speeding, but I did request a traffic study done, which the department completed, and part of the improvements to the park that we'll touch on in a little while will hopefully include some traffic speed mitigation in and outside of the park. But while we're still we're at a midpoint. Olindy's, the the stretch of Quincy Ave, which where Olindy's is, the folks will notice a crosswalk going in there soon as well. So we'll connect the bowling alley to the lot across the street, which the bowling alley owns and they use for parking.
Right, that's smart because Quincy Ave is a busy street and it's a wide street. And as you had mentioned, the lot for the bowling alley continues across the street, so safety certainly a concern.
Sure, and again, you know, in the same manner as the ADA mat, the bowling alley has leagues of, and the leagues spread out over age and generation. But I've noticed over the last few years, I feel like there are so many leagues at bowling alleys now. Maybe, I don't know if they're the statistics of it all, but of course, some of the concern there being the senior leagues. And in the fall, when those senior leagues, when folks are there, they might get out at a later time when the sun's set and it gets dark at 4 or 5 o'clock. So I don't know that particular crosswalk will be installed in time for this fall, but I do know that it's a big priority for the department and for me.
And you hold the only bowling center in the city.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
There used to be many. Let's talk about, I guess, Ward 2 in relation or in regard to Planning Board and Zoning Board.
Sure. 505 Quincy Ave is Elysian. It's the former Burger King prior to Braintree Cooperative Savings Bank. Prior to that, Burger King. It is now Elysian, a recreational marijuana retailer. They are set to open in September. I toured the facility in July. It is very nice inside, and if any of the neighbors have any particular concerns with respect to security, please reach out. It's a very detailed, intricate, secure facility. So I did a whole tour of it. I was amazed at 40 something cameras and fingerprints and locks, and it seems very secure. And I hope that brings some solace to the neighbors that had differing feelings about the project. The owners seem great. They want to give back to the community. They want to help out and sponsor events and do whatever they can. So
that whole area has seen, at least that intersection has seen redevelopment recently.
Yes.
We have housing units kind of diagonal from the this facility, and then we have on the Braintree side, I guess, is it Quirk has his Genesis dealership.
And then if we go just farther down East Howard, you will come to 506 South Street, which has been a project. I've had a couple of community meetings on what started as a proposal for boat storage, and the neighbors were not huge fans of. Ended up in a proposal for housing. Again, similarly, after some community meetings and input, the representatives of the property owner and all the folks involved, the number of units came down. What was approved at the zoning board on Tuesday night was for 18 units, totaling 30 bedrooms, so 6 one-bedroom and 12 two-bedroom. 33 parking spaces. I, of course, voiced the neighbors' concerns over parking in that neighborhood and in that area, especially given the Islamic Center and Clifford Marshall. My hope is, this is on the section of South Street that's a one-way. There's no curb in front of the building either, which does not help. However, my hope is that we'll work with the traffic department to move some of the signage around so that the folks going in and out of this building won't be able to go through the neighborhood. They'll have to go right up the hill to South Street to go in and out. And certainly also the MWRA lot that will be utilized in a different manner. Either it's the South Street lot that's parking. I hope that all of that will work together and maybe complement each other.
And before we leave these particular developments, 74 Elm Street.
74 Elm Street, formerly people will know it as Dennis Sweeney's Funeral Home. There is a proposal right now to rehab the building into 5 apartments. The outside of the building, the facade will stay the same, which, as the ward councilor, makes me very happy because I know that folks like for the neighborhood to present as they know it. And it is a very nice building. We may not look at it as a beautiful building because if we have gone there historically, it is for a service, for a loved one or for a funeral or a wake. But it is a very nice building, and the owner wants to rehab the inside of the building. 5 apartments. We got some parking issues over there that we're working through, and my goal is to maintain as much of the status quo as possible.
Because I think parking has traditionally been across the street from the building itself.
Correct. And when Mr. Sweeney sold the properties, there's the red house next to the funeral home, and then both of the parking lots. So we're working, with the owner and certainly the city, and trying to see how we can all come together to make sure that there's some parking that's retained over there, and also that the logical next step for the property is taken, and hopefully we can do that.
That brings me to the end of the program and Faxon Park.
Yes.
So let's talk about where we are right now. We are sitting underneath a pavilion.
We are.
One that's relatively recently constructed.
So this pavilion, a couple years ago, there was a community meeting about Faxon Park. There were some funds that had been, I believe they were traced back to former councilor Brad Kroll, and some funds that were allotted to rehab Faxon Park. And there was a meeting here at the older pavilion. It's still operable, of course. Folks were able to say what they thought should happen, what they wanted to see up here. One of those suggestions was this new pavilion, so we are sitting under the newer pavilion. It's been here about a year. It's beautiful, and it sits on a nice open field. It's secluded enough, and also, great to have people at, and I see people up here now, and nice new tables
And facilities off to my left.
Yes. The bathrooms have been constructed. They're not operable as of right now, but that is certainly a high on the list. So we've got the pavilion. I hosted a Ward 2 Fall Sundays in the park. It was the perfect setup to have it up here. This would have been last fall, and I do want to. I am coming up on planning that event again, of course, for this year. So I look forward to sharing those dates. However, this is the perfect space to have food trucks, music. We did like a Quincy Police Touch a Truck, and I'm excited to do that again this year.
So I said you have the only bowling alley in the city. You also have the largest park in the city.
Yes, and the only Islamic center. So we're really special here in Ward 2. Yes.
Don't let the other councilors hear that.
Faxon Park is the largest park in the city. Of course, it traces back to land given from the Faxon family. Formerly, where we'll go over in a moment, I believe, was at one point going to be the new Quincy High site. So much history up here, so much territory. A lot of it underutilized, some of it becoming more utilized. So all good things.
I think with that said, we will go to our next location and continue the talk.
Awesome.
So Richard, we've moved from
Yes.
our pavilion.
Just a few feet.
Just a few feet, and look at this. This is fantastic.
Isn't it gorgeous?
This is the pickleball court, and there are actually 8 pickleball
8 fields.
fields here. Talk about this, and I guess this is a recently completed project.
Yes, I mean the project is still ongoing. I mean, there still are some punch list items, odds and ends that will happen that Commissioner Murphy is working on. But again, this was a project that after the community meeting of this allotment for Faxon Park, what it looks like, what the residents want, what could logically go up here that people would appreciate. And now 2 years later, you're looking at 8 state-of-the-art, just amazing huge pickleball courts. Obviously, as a country, or dare I say, the world probably has really taken this sport up over the last few years. And if we can cater to that, that is a sign of, you know, really good, not only good politics in the city, but having everybody on the same page that wants to see the residents enjoy the public spaces and the parks as much as they can.
I don't know much about the game other than it's kind of a version of tennis, and it was named after a dog, Pickles.
Ah, interesting. Well, then you know more than I do.
I see that there's rules
I was hoping
posted.
somebody was up here playing so we could watch and maybe pick up a few pointers. But I did read the rules. So in the rules, of course, I shouldn't say of course, but the rules on the field, people are encouraged to keep their time to a 1 hour, to a 1 hour at a time. If there's a crowd waiting, which something tells me after this airs, there very well might be.
Well, and the thing is about pickleball, at least its introduction to the city, really, I think, was through Senior Olympics.
Yes, I think you're right. I think you're right. And of course, Senior Olympics are in May, I believe May every year. And that we have a ton of people that participate through the Kennedy Center. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
But with that said, it doesn't know an age. And if it did potentially start as a game for seniors or a game that seniors were attracted to, that has changed.
Yeah, I mean, it's become a multi-generational sport. I actually, right before we started filming, I was up here and there was an adult and a 3 or 4 year-olds, you know, paddling the ball around. And I have heard a lot. I know at least 2 residents that reached out and said that it was so busy up here one weekend that they had to come back and play a different time. Of course, it's not ideal for that resident, but it's a sign that people know the field is here, know the courts are here, are excited to use it. And I think it's really is a great addition to Faxon Park, to all of the real estate up here. And I welcome everybody to come up, enjoy it, and certainly give my thanks to the mayor's office and Commissioner Murphy for having this vision and wanting to see this happen here right in Ward 2.
And one of the things, and I'll leave it at this, but one of the things that is appealing to me is that we do have 8 courts, 8 fields here, but we're surrounded by trees, and we're surrounded by a number of trees. So it feels protected. It feels relatively secluded.
Yes, and that was part of the planning. You know, the layout of Faxon Park is so detailed and huge. The park itself is larger than anyone probably realizes. And behind us, not far over this berm, is a residential neighborhood that abuts Camp Manch. So I want, and you know, after speaking with some of those residents, they wouldn't be thrilled to hear pickleball every day, all day long either. And so again, that's part of how much the Department of Natural Resources wanted to utilize this space in a way that works for everyone. So you see these berms that have come in to kind of block the sound a bit, so that none of the neighbors, hopefully none of the neighbors will hear very much, and then still allow time and space for people to enjoy the sport.
Very good. I want to thank you, Councillor, for joining me for this program outside of the studio, and maybe we should do more of these shows.
I would love that. We certainly have enough to talk about. So
definitely.
All right.
Until next time.
Thank you.